Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to this week's Karma Cards. Oh, we're still inside Mercury retrograde, so I don't totally trust my microphone, so I'm not going to use it today because me plus Mercury retrograde equals technology bloopers. And I was having one of those today, although it wasn't on me. It was the grid or something. My network went down, so I had electricity, but no, internet. So it was like all the electricity was on, but the internet's been acting funky. And I mentioned it to a client, and they're like, oh, well, Mercury retrograde. And I was like, of course. Of course. So if you're having technological issues, that's all a part of Mercury retrograde, because technology is one of our forms of communication, and communication is a little iffy during Mercury retrograde, but that's not what we're going to talk about today. In this week of March Madness, we're going to talk about the spring equinox. And by the time you see this video, the equinox will be happening or will have happened, because the spring equinox is on March 20th, and that's the beginning of Aries season. So to all my Aries, sending you lots of love. Now, the time of the spring equinox is all about balance, rebirth, and renewal. It's like we get the official start of the Earth's new year, because seasonally, at least for the northern hemisphere, we're moving into spring, and it's all about that fresh beginning. So I should say northern hemisphere's new year. Usually when we're in Aries season, it's all about taking bold action and moving forward and just getting started, like just go, just do it. But the caveat with this one is we've got two retrogrades still going on. We've got Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde still going on. With those two, that's like a natural pause button. So again, and they're all happening in the sign of Aries, which is very much connected to that feeling of let's go, let's make it happen, let's just do something. So it's a really interesting combination. It gets that stop-start energy feeling again, because here we are feeling this kind of refreshed, ready to go, raring to put our ideas into action. And then this other energy going, no, stop and think about it. Think about what you're putting into action and if it's in alignment with who you authentically want to be. The significance of this period is that we're being asked to reset our approach to relationships, communication, money, and personal goals as connected through Aries. So anything that is asking you to be authentically in yourself, you're being asked to pause for a moment and really connect with it. Is this action actually coupling with who I intend to be, or who I feel most authentically? Is this action most resonate with my authenticity? Do the two go together? And if they don't, then it's something I've got to reconfigure, or I've got to reconsider, rather than allowing it to go forward, because everything moving forward wants to have this sort of refreshed and cleared sense of energy. That's what retrogrades sort of represent. It's like a house cleaning. It's about looking at how you've used the energy in this areas and how would you like to address it. And again, with Aries being so prominent, this is the sign of self, right? It's the sign of self-image, the image you're holding of yourself, how you're presenting yourself, what you want to stand out for, right? What do you want to be known for? That, all of that energy is combined in the sign of Aries. And so all of this renewal and cleaning energy is to make sure the most authentic version of you is presented forward. So you may find that you have a lot of ideas at this time, but you're going to find that if you try to enact them, it's not that you can't, but you might find that you have to redo it. Like you have to put it out there and then sort of reel it back in and retract it, work on it, reconfigure it, and then put it out again. Or you might find that you want to put it out, but you're feeling go over that again. Like, can you just read that script one more time? Or can you review that document again and make sure that the language is clear, that what you're trying to get across is getting across and not getting muddied. And in terms of relationship, are you showing up authentically as yourself in your relationship? Or right? It's about also independence is a big part of the Aries signature. And so one of the things it's asking for when we're working with a Venus retrograde, for example, is there any codependent issues I need to clean up? Like, am I relying my happiness and well-being on the way someone else behaves or thinks or treats me, or what they're doing? Is that going to affect how I feel? So we're being asked to liberate ourselves from these patterns where we believe that something else outside of us has to happen for us to feel good within ourselves. Like something outside of me, whether it's a relationship or whether it's an external event, has to right itself so that I can feel good within myself. And what this period is really trying to teach you is like, it's all happening sort of independently. Yes, we're connected. Yes, there's oneness, but there's also your experience and another's experience. And this is where it helps us to visualize like the sun or the ocean, a great way to picture the seemingly contradictory idea of uniqueness and oneness, because it's like, how do they coexist together? How are we one with everything and yet we're having an independent experience? Sometimes that doesn't feel like it correlates. So picture the sun itself, that ball of energy, that represents our oneness. We're all like rays of sunlight. So the sun is emanating its source, and that's where we're connected. But then rays are shooting off of it, which represents that unique experience, because a ray is going this way and another is going that way and that way and that way, right? Or you can think about the ocean. We're all connected in the ocean, but we're each a cresting wave, having our own individual unique wave experience while being connected to the ocean. So our life here is a lot like that. Yes, we're connected to the whole, but we're also having a unique experience, which means we're not sharing the same perspective as everyone else throughout this experience. So it's like some people, like imagine you're sitting around a campfire, right? We're all sitting around the campfire. Some are like engaged with the light and they're having a very sacred spiritual experience with this fire. Others are roasting s'mores and just enjoying it. Others are a little bit terrified of the fire and they're worried it's going to like catch fire and the rest of the trees are going to catch on fire. All these people are sitting around a campfire. They're not all having the same experience of it. And that's what this period is like. And so this period of time is to get you to connect with your authentic experience. Who are you in the campfire scenario? What role are you playing? And are you basing your role off of someone else's experience? For example, if you're really the one sitting there roasting s'mores, are you deciding this has to be spiritual because the person next to you is like, one with the fire and they're like communing with the fire? And are you looking around going, oh, I guess I should commune with fire even though I just want to make this s'more, right? That's what it's asking you to do, is get clear. Well, what do you want? What if you took away all the other options of experience or all the other people having experience around you and you just sat with your own? What is it telling you? What do you want to do? I want to make a s'more, right? And that's what it's trying to get us to recognize, is kind of clean up that connection so you're having your authentic experience. And that isn't to say you could change your mind. Maybe you're making s'mores and you see someone communing with the fire and you're like, I never thought of that. Never thought I could commune with fire. Holy moly, now that's what I want to do. That's still authentic. The difference is feeling compelled to behave a certain way because others are behaving that way, and then behaving in the way that you desire, maybe being inspired by others, but really it's like, this is my experience. We're being asked to work on that and clean that up. And during this time, it's like you get this fresh burst of energy of, again, it's a renewal, but also hopefully clarity. Like I said last week, that Aries offers a lot of clarity. And so it's like, I see it now. I see who I am in relation to the whole. I see my story. And rather than trying to get other people to live my experience or trying to shift my experience into someone else's so I can more align and match, we're learning that we can be unique and individual and still connected. Like, we're not going to lose connection. And that other thought that comes up of like, I have to do this to stay connected, that's coming from almost more like a trauma bond, if that makes sense. That's that hive mind mentality that is not the same as collective consciousness. There's hive mind, and then there's collective consciousness, which is a bunch of unique points of expression that are innately connected and linked, but they recognize the uniqueness of each expression. Whereas a hive mind is like, think like this, behave like this, do this, or you're out. And I think that we're healing that to some degree, that there's an awareness here of the hive mentality, though it works sometimes, isn't always the best approach and can be easily hijacked and manipulated. And we've definitely seen that. We've seen that kind of group think or bandwagoning, which I don't know if you guys, I don't know who went through this experience. Anyone remember DARE? And this is for kids who like went to school in like the 80s and 90s, DARE. It was like Dare to Keep Kids Off Drugs. And they talked about all the ways that, you know, people can peer pressure you into taking drugs. And I just remember they had this like little sheet that they'd hand out, and they had pictures of all the different ways. And I remember bandwagoning. And I just thought that was a really funny term. But the idea of bandwagoning is a form of peer pressure, right? It's like everybody's doing it, so you should be doing it. Well, that's where a hive-like mentality or a group think can be hijacked or used in a negative way. And I just remember they were training us early to like recognize it. Like, critical thinking is important. Having your own point of view is important. You know, having your own perspective is important. Trying to think alike and do alike and be alike just so that you don't get rejected. The reason why bandwagoning works is our fear of rejection from a community or group, right? We need to feel connected. We're a communal species. But what we're being shown at this time is how you think communal species works is being cleaned up and maybe challenged, and getting you to see that it was never about losing your authentic experience and merging with somebody else's or a group collective experience. It was about recognizing that we're all connected, and each individual experience is bringing something to the table, right? I love the campfire metaphor just because it's like if everybody's perspective there is valid and brings something to the table, then the ones who are making s'mores can make s'mores for everybody, and everyone gets to enjoy it. They're bringing the lightness. The one who is communing with the fire is bringing the depth and the spirituality. The one who's worried about the flames is keeping everybody safe. All of them are, there's somebody else who's concerned about the fire staying going, and they're making sure to keep rekindling the fire and tending to it. There's so many important pieces of a community energy that are needed. We don't all want to be focused on one thing. We actually want that multidimensional approach. And this period of time is bringing that awareness to us now. And that's the message from the team. And that'll take us into this week's Karma cards. Right. If you're new to Karma cards, let me quickly show you how these work. I have 3 decks here: planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team, what is the message for this week? And I've got 2 sets of answers, a set in red, which are action related, and a set in blue, which are outcome related. And the way that you play is you tune in with that beautiful intuition of yours and feel what is the guidance that you need this week. Are you looking for action related guidance, or do you want to see how things resolve? And of course, you can always choose both. And while you're choosing, let me tell you the timing for this reading. This reading is from March 19th through the 26th. Let me tell you the flavor of this reading. This one's exciting. You know how in Vegas they have the slot machines and the images spin and then they stop the jackpot? It's like we hit 3 cherries. It's like ding, ding, ding. This week's message is really interesting. We've got the planet Jupiter, which is a planet of expansion, benevolence, and joy. And the sign it rules of Sagittarius, which is the optimist and the one who's like the higher mind, that's like the thinker, the philosopher, in the 9th house of mental expansion. So it's the planet that rules the sign that rules the house. They're all here. So this is like an all Jupiter Sagittarius type reading, and I'm really excited to get in the message with you because it should be a good one. Okay, my friends, if you are choosing action, your spiritual action at this time is to learn or teach your highest ideals as if it came from God. Your highest ideals do come from God. So, yay! But this is asking us to go deeper into that. It reminds me of the metaphor where it's talking about who, in that fire metaphor I gave you, the bonfire. Who are you? There, that's your highest ideal. I'm here for fun. I'm here for safety. I'm here to nurture. I'm here for sacred connection. What is that? What's your highest ideal? What are you here for? Recognize that that's like your soul mission. That's what came from God. And learn it, and then show others how to find theirs, if you feel compelled to do so. Right? Mental action at this time is to be positive about the rules of the philosophies and the laws involved. March is a time of great healing. That's what my team's saying right now. This is great healing. It's a big cleanup. It's a big energetic shift, right? Like I said, the hive mind mentality, or the group, we think the bandwagoning is breaking down, and people are making contact with their true authentic self, their divine essence, and this is the natural order of things. And though it can be obscured by that sort of trauma mentality or manipulation, it can never be hidden. The truth will always reveal itself. So what's true about your nature is always trying to show itself to you. And even if we were deep into a group think, like let's say we got into like a worst case scenario, like a cult type situation, you'll always be able to get out. Even those people who are deeply entrenched eventually see the truth. Now, they don't always want to see the truth, but they will see the truth. And so even when we have patterns of behavior, like I said, that are developed through trauma, your true nature will always shine through. It's just a matter of being willing to follow it, which this time period is designed to help you do. Physical action at this time: grow and expand, get out into the world and do it in a big way. There's an incredible shift happening both inside of us and outside of us at this time. And depending on where you're tuning in, you're going to feel it. There's a big shift, like I said, happening as we are chemically reconstructing ourselves into a higher density being while in a body. This is the first time this has been attempted in the universe, according to many texts that are out there, and also the messages many receive. It's the first time. That's why it feels so significant. But we're managing to stay in our body and reconfigure it at the same time. We're moving from a carbon-based being into a crystalline plasma being, cells at a time. This is why there's so much like tiredness. And I don't just mean like I'm a little tired. I mean like I am barely able to keep my eyes open, kind of tired, even if you've slept all night. There's so much change happening within and around and outside of us. We're shifting paradigms quickly. We're shifting dimensions even quicker. We've already shifted and we just keep shifting. So the way that things used to connect for you and make sense, you might find it's like it doesn't connect anymore. I don't know why. I'm doing all the things that I've done before in regards to maybe money, my business, relationships, how my health, taking care of myself, and yet things are shifting on me. A lot of people are seeing it. You're probably experiencing it in one or many areas, and at this time it's like go with this flow. You'll find that this do it in a big way is like surrender is the kind of the energy I get, even though it's like put it out there in the world, do it in a big way. It's just like be yourself. It's like if you realize you are the person at the campfire communing with fire and no one else is doing it and you're kind of looking around, you're like, am I the weirdo? Be the weirdo. That's just be that. I would love to be that person at that fire, is like having this very personal experience. That's sort of the energy you were meant to embody, right? Just like if you're the s'mores maker and you're like, that's kind of weird, but I like it, but I don't feel like that's what I'm here for. Just do the thing that you feel like you're here for. So this big way is like authenticity is the big way. Surrendering to who you actually are. Letting go of the program. These are all things that we can do in a big way. Is it showy? Sometimes. Maybe it's not. But it's literally about releasing yourself from these old paradigms and patterns and accepting that there's a shift going on. And maybe you're trying to do things the way you've always done it and it's shuffling on you. Rather than getting upset about it, just relax into it, right? Allow it to unfold. It's going to take care of you. As we are authentically finding ourselves in this process, that takes care of you more than you realize. All right, now let's look at the outcomes for Jupiter in Sagittarius in the 9th house of mental expansion. The spiritual outcome at this time is the granting of insights to understand spiritual values. When we step into who we authentically are, when we own our unique vibration here, it's like we unpack the suitcase we've been carrying with us this whole time, right? Where when we're trying to fit into a box for someone else, it's like we have to leave our suitcase outside of the box because it doesn't fit in there. And truly, we don't either. When we let go of the box of other people's expectations and we truly stand in, this is who I am. It's like your suitcase opens and all the treasures that relate to who you are all on display for you. It's like you finally see it. I was like, oh yeah, my job, the one I signed up for before I got here was to be, the spiritual representative, or the representative of fun, or the representative of safety or nourishment, or what have you, right? These roles, we already decided this combination, and yet all this distraction happened and it kind of took us off course. This is a period of time where there's a cleanup and it's like, I suddenly remember what I'm here to do, and your suitcase opens and all your treasures are now accessible for you. Mental action at this time, blessings from long range thinking or travel. So my team is saying this is a great question to ask yourself. If I believed I had a mission for being here, what would I want that mission to be? What would you want the mission to be? That's going to tell you a whole bunch about what your mission is. If your mission's about healing, if it's about bringing beauty, if it's about creating truth or safety or expressing love, there's so many things. So what would you want it to be? That's the long range thinking I'm getting. It's like, imagine that you go all the way through these higher densities and get to talk to your higher self. And they were to say, guess what? This was your mission. And you get to say, okay, I'm having that experience and this is what I want it to be. And then live as if that is your mission, because it is. Because it is. It's that easy. It's not always easy to enact our mission. Sometimes we get stuck there, but it's easy to know what it is. What would you like it to be? And there it is. Physical outcome at this time, good fortune resulting from the understanding of what is to be shared. They keep showing me the bonfire. If you go back to that experience, now imagine that instead of people questioning if they should be doing what they're doing, what if they recognize that they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do? And then they see the cooperation that's happening, how everything's kind of covered. Somebody's covering our back spiritually. Someone's covering our back physically. Someone's, taking care of us. Someone's taking care of situations. Like, if you see that, then you see the beauty in the design, that we were never meant to do the same thing or think the same thing or be the same way, because we needed to cover all sorts of areas. And that's the beauty in the design. And so you start to appreciate your uniqueness and your authentic point of view, as well as that of other people, because you see the beauty in the design. And I feel like that's the gift of this period. So as we move throughout this week and into this spring renewal, as we do a little review and clean up, know that as you're getting down to your authentic self, and your mission, what would you like it to be? Now step into it. Then you start to see the beauty in the design, right? Because now you're doing what you're supposed to do. And when we're doing what we're supposed to do, I feel like we're pretty content, right? For the most part, I would say we're very content. And that means that you're more concerned about staying in alignment than making sure everybody else is doing what you need them to do. And so there's a natural healing there. It's not coming from a place of trauma or past pain, but really in a trust of your energy and what you're bringing to the table. And when we're focusing on that, the synergy really starts to show itself, and we really get to experience, we elevate each other's experiences because we understand not only our place, but the place of others and the important tapestry we're weaving together. And with that, I'm sending you so much love. Mwah. Have a beautiful week.